Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a truly beautiful, highly emotional Hindi folktale called Barish mein Gareeb ki Mehman, which translates to Guests in a Poor Man's House During the Rain. I am absolutely thrilled to guide you through this one because, honestly, it's a masterful story. It's this dramatic tale that hits on the undeniable power of karma, our deep human need for connection, and how the universe sometimes operates in just the most unexpected ways imaginable. Okay, let's dive into this. I want you to consider a philosophical question to start us off. Can a single act of kindness in your absolute darkest hour actually change your destiny? Keep that idea in the back of your mind as we go through today's events. We're going to examine a man who has absolutely nothing, a guy who is pushed to the very brink of despair. But instead of letting all that darkness turn him bitter, he makes a profound choice. And that choice sets off a chain reaction that you will literally not see coming. All right, let's set the scene. Our protagonist is a man named Dhiru, and he lives with his wife, Kajri. Now, they are currently trapped in what I can only describe as an escalating nightmare. Their misery is just compounding day by day, all thanks to this relentless, unending rainstorm. Day 1. They're stuck at home. That means Dhiru can't go to his job as a day laborer, and no work means no money for food. Day 2. Things get catastrophically worse. The roof of their fragile little home starts leaking, and the water completely ruins the few paper notes they had managed to save up. Their entire life savings, just gone in an instant. By day 3, desperate and totally out of options, Dhiru is forced to go out and work in that very same relentless storm, just to survive. And it's not just the weather that's harsh here, it's the society around them. The villagers are, quite frankly, incredibly cruel. They isolate Dhiru and actually mock him for being an orphan, even going so far as to call him a jinx just because he has no family. They're blaming him for his own misfortune. But in stark contrast, when Dhiru and Kajri find stranded strangers out in the storm, what do? They take them right into their own leaking home and treat them like absolute royalty. Now, you might be wondering, what is driving this immense generosity? Well, Dhiru sums it up perfectly himself. I am an orphan. I have no one of my own. You see, what hurts Dhiru the most isn't his extreme poverty. It's not the leaking roof, and it's not even the ruined money. It's his profound loneliness. He yearns for a real family, for true connection. That deep-seated pain of isolation is the true tragedy of his life. But, and here's the kicker, it's also the exact source of his profound empathy for others who are vulnerable. And this empathy leads us directly to our inciting incident. Enter Raman and Janki. They're two travelers caught out in this terrible storm, basically shivering under a tree with absolutely nowhere to take shelter. Dhiru is walking home, exhausted and defeated, and he spots them. Now remember, Dhiru has next to nothing. His house is literally falling apart. But without a second thought, he immediately offers his tiny, leaking home to these complete strangers. And this brilliantly illustrates the ancient Indian philosophy of Atiti Devo Bhava, which means the guest is equivalent to God. Dhiru and Kajri welcome them with immense respect. Kajri goes into her sparse kitchen and somehow manages to cook these delicious, warm meals for them, despite their own extreme poverty. And the most beautiful part of this whole scene? They stay up late into the night talking, laughing, and bonding. For the first time in his entire life, Dhiru actually feels like he's part of a family. It's a stunning emotional contrast. Inside, there's pure warmth and love, while outside, that bitter, cruel storm is still raging. But unfortunately, the storm outside isn't done with Dhiru quite yet. He has to go back to work at the grain go down. He's been walking and working in this freezing rain for days now, and his body finally gives out. He gets sick with a terrible fever, his hands are shaking, and then tragedy strikes. In his weakened state, Dhiru drops a single sack of grain into the flooded water, completely ruining it. It's a tiny mistake, born out of pure physical exhaustion, but the consequences, they are about to be massive. Dhiru is dragged before his wealthy, powerful employer, Thakur Durjan Pratap. And the Thakur's response is just an act of sheer cruelty. He tells him, I won't just take the money back, you will repay 3 sacks for 1. The Thakur doesn't just want the value of the ruined sack. No, he uses this tiny mistake to completely crush a man who is already down. He fires Dhiru on the spot and bans him from returning until this fabricated, massively inflated debt is paid in full. 3. I mean, just think about that multiplier for a second. I really want to emphasize the crushing weight of this unfair demand. Remember, Dhiru is a guy who just lost his entire life savings because his roof leaked on a few paper notes. He barely has enough food to survive the day. And now he owes the equivalent of 3 full sacks of grain to the most powerful man in the village. It is, for all intents and purposes, a financial death sentence. So put yourself in his shoes and consider this impossible situation. How will Dhiru repay a dent like that when he has absolutely no money, no job, and zero family to rely on? I want you to truly feel the despair of this moment. Dhiru walks back to his tiny home completely broken. He has tried so incredibly hard to be a good man, to work hard, to be kind, and the world has just handed him an impossible situation with no way out. But here is where the story takes a massive turn. Remember those helpless travelers, Raman and Janki, who were staying at Dhiru's house? In a moment of incredible dramatic irony, they reveal their true identities to Dhiru and Kajri. They're not poor, stranded wanderers at all. They're actually incredibly wealthy city merchants. They have more than enough resources to solve Dhiru's massive problem with a snap of their fingers. Now, what's really fascinating about their psychology here is why they kept this a secret in the first place. Why didn't they just tell Dhiru they were rich right from the start? Well, Raman and Janki had immense wealth, sure, but they were poor in relationships. They had no real family either. They were terrified that if Dhiru knew they were rich, he would treat them differently, maybe just use them for their money. They were craving genuine human connection and true kindness. And by hiding their wealth, they proved that Dhiru's incredible generosity was 100% pure. It perfectly mirrored Dhiru's own longing for a real family. Let's walk through exactly how this resolves, because it moves incredibly fast. First, Raman immediately steps up and hands through the money he needs to clear the debt. Empowered, Dhiru proudly marches right back to the cruel Takar, throws the money at him, and pays off the impossible debt, severing ties with that toxic employer forever. Then, back at home, as they're all preparing to leave for the city to join Raman's business, Kajri gifts Dhiru a brand new shirt, and as he takes off his old clothes, a birthmark is revealed on his neck. And this leads to the reconnection. As Dhiru changes, Raman's eyes go wide. He spots the exact same birthmark on Dhiru's neck that he has on his own. It's this electrifying moment. Raman's mother had told him a long time ago about a brother he lost when they were just babies. In a massive emotional twist, Dhiru and Raman realize they aren't just strangers who became fast friends. They are long-lost brothers, literally separated at birth. Just think about this incredible transformation for a second. Before the storm, Dhiru is desperately poor, mocked by his entire village, a lonely orphan carrying a crushing, impossible debt. But look at him after the storm. He's a wealthy business partner in the city, highly respected by everyone, even the very people who used to mock him. And most importantly, he is reunited with his brother. He finally has the real family he spent his entire life yearning for. It's definitive proof that his unwavering kindness was miraculously rewarded. So, the crucial point we need to take away is captured perfectly here. Those who have nothing often give the most, and destiny finds a way to repay them. Dhiru literally gave away the only dry corner of his leaking house to complete strangers. He gave from a place of absolute emptiness. And in return, the universe gave him everything he ever dreamed of. It is a powerful reminder that true wealth is measured by the size of your heart, and generosity, it's never wasted. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought. If that devastating storm had never come along to ruin Dhiru's life, would he have ever found his family? I mean, think about that. The very storm that destroyed his savings, wrecked his roof, and cost him his job was the exact same vehicle that delivered his long-lost brother directly to his doorstep. It really makes you wonder, perhaps our greatest hardships are actually our greatest blessings in disguise. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, and I'll see you next time.